Welcome to the new year, 2012. I'm Bill Saunderson for Green Side Up, and we're going to be talking about a few little different things here. We're inside instead of outside, and that's probably a lot due because of the weather, which is terrible outside. So we're going to stay warm, and we're going to talk a little bit about winter flowering plants and color through the winter months. So behind me here, we have a host of varieties, and I can start by saying that everything you see with color on it and in bloom will have these flowers on in and around that time, December, January, some of them actually later into February. We have the Himalayan, which is the witch hazel, and that has quite a few varieties, some of which consist of fragrant flowers, kind of starburst flowers, height 15 feet, maybe 16 feet wide. Fairly fast growing, and this is actually a variety that we actually propagated here, so it has a variegated leaf, which is actually quite unusual for Himalayan. Now the holly family can be a beautiful way of getting foliage in the yard. This is the variegated holly with the yellow tips along the edges, nice red berries coming along, and also here the green holly, smaller leaf, blue prince or blue princess. They'll be self-fertile, they'll pollinate each other. So the hollies can be, a real plus in the yard. The only thing you do have to watch is they do have a fairly deep root system, so they're quite tenacious, so don't put them too close to the house. Freestanding will be beautiful, and just pick your varieties. Very prunable over the years, so you can contain them to whatever size you want to keep them at. Down below here, fading down, we have very nice Sarcocoa, which is a common name called the Himalayan Sweet Box. And I think this actually has a very fragrant white flower in clusters, as you can see all the way down the stamens here. These will flower for up to 3 to 4 weeks in the winter because of the cold weather. In mass plantings, you do get a very heavy fragrance of these. So in a shadier spot, morning sun, afternoon shade, this will do extremely well. In behind, something you don't see too often in people's yards is the Calicarpa, which has these beautiful berries after the leaves have dropped. They produce these wonderful berries, which gives you a very unusual color, all of which are very prunable. There's nothing in here that cannot be contained to a desirable height over the years of its growth. Down below has a ground cover, very pretty Gualtheria, which has the berries, and even the foliage is somewhat mottled with a little bit of red and burgundy in the leaves. Evergreen also. And of course our grasses, of which there's over 200 varieties of grasses, some of which are invasive, so you've got to do a little bit of homework on the grasses. This one actually, the black Mondo grass, for January, this is looking still pretty good for the month of the year it's in. This one actually does flower, kind of a lavender pink flower, which is very unusual for grasses. And we have the Ice-Dance sedge here, which has a very nice variegated foliage and a lighter variegated foliage on the evergold. For color change, we have the Euonymus family, the Euonymus fortunei gaiety, and you have the variegated leaf with turning to a little bit of magenta pink through the winter months, and then in the spring, as the new growth comes out, this will revert back to its original color, which is either green and yellowish, or a light cream and green, which is a little lighter color. Now the heathers, there's heathers and kalunas. Heathers I think are my favorite, personal favorite. The color in these in the winter is huge because they can bloom for up to 3 months steady because of the cooler weather. This particular heather has a double flower in it. You've got the white and the pink, a little darker pink, called double play. Excellent heathers. However, you do have to be cognizant of the fact that deer or rabbits can take their toll on the heathers. Not in everybody's yard, but in some yards they've been hitting them pretty hard. So you do have to be watching out for that. Behind here, and not too many people are aware of the fact that you do have a winter flowering camellia. This is the Camellia sasanqua. So this is flowering usually around Christmas time and into the new year in January, as we're in now. So an excellent plant. Same principles as the regular camellia. It's not really a freestanding shrub because if you put it out in the open, it will thrive, but a lot of the time you will lose its buds in the winter when it gets too harsh a frost. It will freeze the buds. So morning sun, protected from the wind, is ideal for it. We have the Nandina domestica, which is the domestic bamboo, not invasive, not to be confused with the regular bamboo, which is invasive. Beautiful colors on this, on the firepower, with the different types of leaf color. Excellent foliage plant. It is on the deer-proof list, however, I'm here to tell you it's not. Back here, we have the Viburnum tinus, which is spring bouquet. Now, I have seen these bushes flower twice or more in the season, through the winter and also through the late spring. You have a very kind of soft white flower coming out to a bit more pink. And if you can see here, you're going to get berries, which is an excellent color separate to the rest of the plant. Getting back to the heathers, because I think this is worth a little bit of a footnote here. There's a huge assortment of different varieties of heathers and colunas. This is heather erica, this is coluna. Very similar, a little bit more growth habit, upright habit with the colunas. A little more prone to rust, which is one of the reasons why I don't like them that much, but they are still a very pretty plant. Just look after them with care. You can get the summer flowering heathers and the winter flowering. So really it's a personal choice of whether you want the colors you want, white, pink, soft pink, dark pink, going into the summer flowers, similar colors. The foliage can be a big attractor. There's some really nice variegated foliage in some of the heathers, so I think that's really pretty. And coming down here, down below, we have a nice little flat of winter pansies. Again, deer food. But of course you can always put these in pots and keep them up high enough, or hang in baskets, or you can keep them on the patio or the sun deck out back. And this will give you, little periods of color all through the winter months. So that's another great, inexpensive way to get color in the yard, particularly if you don't have deer. Well, that's quite a bit about winter colors. There's still a lot more you can put in the yard with more winter color. But this gives you a little bit of the tip of the iceberg of what you can create in the garden through the winter months. And that's a time when there's a lot of color that's lacking in the garden. So by having a look around, doing a little bit of research, you can definitely find many plants that will fit in your yard, giving you lots of color for the winter. So for Green Side Up, I'm Bill Saunderson. See you next show.